He is a delightful person. And I think he's an honorable person. And I think his biggest mistakes were I think the biggest mistake he ever made was the Wall Street bailout. And he bought into what Hank Paulson and others were saying, and somebody convinced him temporarily to make the statement, sometimes you just have to set aside free market principles to save the free market. And my comment to him back then was, if you have to set aside free market principles to save the free market, it's not worth saving. But the truth is, the only time free market principles get in trouble is when you have been using socialist principles and overwhelmed the free market system with socialist ideas and public-private partnerships. And we didn't need to go there. There were ways around that, and I'm not going to spend time to explain the alternatives, but they were there. But one of the mistakes in the Bush administration, No Child Left Behind, I think was another one we bumped heads on quite a bit. He would get upset that I was so opposed to it, but the federal government, education is not an enumerated power. They have no business being involved in education. That's left to the states and the people under the 10th Amendment. So I like President Bush, but there's some things he was just wrong on. And one of the things he was wrong on, and it really hurt America, and it's because he's such a good-natured guy, generally. I know he gets accused of it, but he came into office after that mess with Florida, and it turns out he really did have a majority of the electoral vote and the majority of the popular vote. And he basically took the position, look, there may have been some wrongdoing before I got here, but that's all bygones. We're going to let everything from the past be in the past. And we're going forward fresh from today. And that has done great harm to our country. There were people in the IRS that had been acting inappropriately. There were people in the Justice Department who had been acting inappropriately. I mean, there were serious stuff, and then there was just goofy little stupid stuff like the White House staff. You may recall they vandalized all the keyboards by taking all the W's off of the keyboards. That's vandalism. They vandalized all the keyboards. Apparently they stole a bunch of stuff as they went out. They should have been prosecuted. That's the only way you prevent it happening again later, is if they know they could be prosecuted when the next president came in. And when President Bush didn't get rid of anybody, I mean, he changed U.S. attorneys. Every president does that. He didn't even change as many as Clinton did, and still they vilified him for that. So one of my concerns is about the Donald Trump presidency has been, if he were to be elected and he were to go in like Bush did and say, you know, everything in the past, that's the past. We're starting fresh from today, because just like Bush, that left so many wrongdoers in position to double down on their wrongdoing, and they did. And they went after conservative groups and Tea Party groups, and no one will ever know. God knows, but none of us will ever know. Did the IRS, being such an activist and going after conservative groups, throw the election to Obama? We know there was a dramatic failure on the part of conservatives to turn out. Who's to say? If the Tea Party groups that had applied and been denied, and you know, there are Democrats say, oh, that didn't make any difference. Yes, it does. Because if you want to come together as a group and you pool your money in order to be an effective power and to have a voice, if you don't have the nonprofit status from the IRS and you pool your money, they're coming after you. They're coming after somebody that got the money and started spending it, because they're going to say that's accrued income to whoever took it. And they'll put somebody in jail for not paying the taxes on that money since you didn't have a nonprofit. They knew they were shutting down conservative efforts around the country. And And I believe if Bush had stood up and made sure that wrongdoers in the past administration were punished, you wouldn't have seen that in this administration, because there'd be a fear that a Republican could get elected and then they would go to jail. There's no fear of anybody. Koskinen, the head of the IRS, he's got no fear that they destroyed things and he lied to Congress. I mean, our own leadership did not want to really have him impeached. The man should have been thrown out long ago. So that's a real problem. Now, I've heard people saying the next president could appoint as many as 4 Supreme Court justices. Maybe so. That could very well be. You really could. But I'm telling you what, if Hillary Clinton she chooses the replacement for my friend Antonin Scalia, you can forget freedom of religion. And how do I know? Because I've been over there when Solicitor General Borrelli has argued on behalf of the Obama administration, and Hillary Clinton agrees with them. They agree with their position, and they believe not only should they be able to tell a nonprofit like the Little Sisters of the Poor which religious beliefs they can practice, but they also believe if you're, say, a strong Christian and your religious beliefs don't allow you to participate in what Moses and Jesus said were not marriage, because that's your strongly held religious belief. For the first time in American history, there are people like Obama, the Solicitor General Borrelli, and Hillary Clinton that believe the government has the right to tell you. And when Alito asked, I get the impression, he basically said, I get the impression you think, even though we're talking about a nonprofit here, I get the impression you could think you could tell churches which religious beliefs they could practice. Well, yeah, we got to make fair rules for everybody, not for churches. You don't get to tell churches what their religious beliefs are. I'm telling you, it's a scary time for me in American history. And I know it was Jefferson that said, I tremble for my country when I think God is just, and his justice is not going to remain silent forever. We're about to go over the cliff. And, and First Amendment freedom of speech, that comes after freedom of religion. If she's elected, I know what happens to that. She supports the UN proposal or resolution and what some have pushed for America that in essence will prevent anyone from ever saying anything negative about Islam. And there are those pushing that in the UN. It may have a majority support it. I think it does. There goes freedom of speech. Hillary Clinton's already made clear that she thinks it's perfectly okay for an unelected bureaucrat to create what we call the no-fly list. And despite Congress's efforts and demands, show us what it takes to get on the no-fly list, they refuse to disclose to anyone, including Congress, what it takes to be listed on the no-fly list. One of the greatest patriots in America is Vernon Lewis. He's been on the list a number of times. We keep having to push and help him try to get off the list, and then he ends up right back on. Well, he is a Christian, and he is a veteran, and he does believe in God, and he does believe in guns, and he's got guns, and he fits the profile for the terrorists that this administration is looking for. But anyway, so we know freedom of speech, freedom of religion are gone, and we know our gun rights under the Second Amendment will be gone. You may not remember, but Hillary Clinton, when she was on the Watergate legal staff, she said that there are some crimes that are bad enough you shouldn't be allowed a lawyer, that Nixon should not be allowed a lawyer, he should just be jailed. That was Hillary Clinton. I mean, I don't like what Nixon did, but for heaven's sake, we do have constitutional protections. She studied the Constitution and she believed if you're conservative, there are times you don't even deserve a lawyer. So you should be concerned about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. By the way, I think we're okay for a little while on the third. I don't think she'll start quartering troops in our homes immediately, but you never know. But first, second, fourth, fifth, 10th is for sure gone, because she already believes the federal government has a right to dictate everything. So political correctness has also taken over America, and when we look back at the Revolution, Voltaire is normally quoted. Others say he wasn't the one that originated the expression, but the founders quoted it all the way through the Revolution. And some of us, looks like most of us are old enough that maybe all of us heard in school,